So now is the time to add another virtual switch for our iScsi target. So of course, in lab environment, we can use VM kernel port 1. We don't need actually to create another VM kernel. We can use the existing one. But in the real world here, let's imagine this is our target server. So what I'm doing in real world, I will connect this iScsi server or storage with at least 2 adapters. And here I will connect them to the switch. And of course here we have our iScsi side 1. And again I will create a new vSwitch here, vSwitch something like 2. And we'll add 2 physical adapter to that vSwitch 2, and we'll connect them to the SAN switch here. And in most cases, I will separate this switch from the LAN network. Of course, you can make something like a VLAN, for example, VLAN 2, and we'll assign these 4 ports to VLAN 2. That's give you the ability for security, and of course, you can separate the traffic between your LAN network here from the storage traffic. But for medium-sized network or large network, it's better even you separate your switches because it will affect your performance. Because we're going to use a heavy transaction data from this iScsi storage or server to the iScsi. This is how we can do in real world. And in today's lesson, I'm going to actually create this switch here with 2 physical adapters that connected to the single switch, and of course we will configure our Active Directory for iScsi target server here to connect this iScsi to the target, and we can actually connect to the iScsi storage. So here we'll say add networking. This time we're going to use the first one for iScsi, as you can see, NFS, FCOE, and the rest of them. So we'll click on next. And here it tells you need the no virtual switch or the existing one. We'll say we need the new one, and here we'll use VMNIC 3. So we should remove another VMNIC from another vSwitch and put it here later on when we configure this virtual switch. So we'll say next, and here we'll say VM kernel for iScsi, and obviously we don't need to select this option unless you have a reason. For example, you want to use this VM kernel for vMotion traffic or fault tolerance or whatever. But in our case, we'll leave it to default and we'll say next. And here I'm going to give the IP address. We will use the same range that we will use in our lab, but in your production environment, of course, iScsi has to be connected to your separate VLAN and your target server also. So we'll say 225 and the subnet mask. And in the meanwhile, we'll do continuous ping to see what will happen. So we'll say next and finish. As you can see, the recent task is update the configuration. Great. We can actually ping our vSwitch iScsi. So we'll do a refresh here and we'll scroll down here for vSwitch 2. As you can see, we have only 1 physical adapter. So we'll go to vSwitch 1 and we'll click on manage physical adapter and we'll remove this one. So here again on vSwitch 2. So here's vSwitch 1, vSwitch 2, which we created for our iScsi target, and here is our vSwitch 0. So, and here we'll click on plus here and we'll add VMNIC 2, that for better redundancy and high availability. That's great. So in today's lesson, we learned how we can make a VM kernel or vSwitch for our iScsi. Next lesson, I'm going to add another disk to my Active Directory to actually assign this disk for iScsi target server.